Hi, hello, hey. We've got lots of interesting things to talk about today, and we're gonna talk about, first of all, the madness that went on this week, the big reveal that came yesterday, and my plans for the future. So, this is a standard AMA live stream, but I will also be telling you a little bit, I'll give you a little bit of context, a little bit of explanation for anyone who still has questions or is wondering about what I meant or why I did what I did, or what is going on. I know that some of you probably thought that I lost my mind this week, and I don't blame you. I don't blame your reaction or your response to the videos that I did this week or to everything that happened. Honestly, this was probably the most strange thing that I've ever done. And I am going to explain everything in this live stream, and I'm going to share why I did it, and I'm going to share with you where I am right now and what's happening. So, first of all, I want to start off by saying sorry I'm late. Two things happened today to explain my lateness. First of all, I was looking everywhere for this stream and I couldn't find it, so I assumed that I must have missed to create it, and I didn't realize that this thing was still scheduled for 6 o'clock. So I thought, okay, I'll just let it be and I'll just stream when I get home. Second of all, I was out all day and I was hanging out with somebody, and they were a bit too cool and a bit too fun, so I couldn't really leave. I just got home half an hour ago, and that was just in time to update my Streamlabs, set everything up, and get going. So, starting off, Erik Thor's mistype mystery. So, as you know, I did a series this week, starting with Was I Too Mean Towards INFPs? A pretty standard clip until you get to the end. The end is a message in Morse code. What does this message mean? What does this Morse code mean? Why did I put that message in there? What was it that actually happened there? Yeah, actually, through this, nobody knows. I mean, there are people that have been able to crack this Morse code. That was no problem. But the mystery itself, the story, the thing that I did, it's still a mystery. So I created a mystery, and it's a mystery that has three parts. First of all, who was the hacker that hacked my channel? Who was the hacker? What was the identity of the hacker that hacked my channel? First of all, that was my first mystery for you guys. I wanted you to figure out, okay, who was this guy? Why did they hack my channel? For what reason did they hack my channel? And secondly, what personality type did they think I was? What was it they were saying? What was it? What was the message that they were trying to get out? And it was a story that went in different parts with short clips where INFJ tries to run away from the type police. Ex-girlfriend exposes the truth on Erik Thor's type. Dad's testimonial confirms I'm not an INFJ. And leaked video explains my true type. And is Erik Thor really who he says he is? So, several videos here, and I understand why these are extremely strange, and this is probably the most bizarre thing I've ever done. But I did it with a purpose, and I'm not going to explain exactly what that purpose is because I don't want to spoil this mystery if anyone still wants to try to figure this out. Maybe I'll return to it later, maybe we'll talk about this more. But I will say that, of course, first of all, there was no hacker. Second of all, the clips were scripted, they were not real. Third, the story that I was trying to tell with these scripts, with this hacker, these leaks, that was real. So I tried to share with you some of the things that I thought that you could use to understand me better and to try to figure out what my real personality type is. I shared some clues into my identity and who I am and what I'm like, and how people perceive me. And yeah, you can use that if you want to try to figure out my mistype mystery or what's going on. And if you're curious about mystery, if you enjoy these kind of games, check it out. Now, I'm going to go more into why I did this and what my plans are with this later on in the stream. But let's start out with my latest video, Not INFJ Anymore, an apology and explanation. So this video marks the end of this game and of this series. It's my last video on this. I will not release any more clues. I'm not going to continue this game. This channel will go back to normal from today on. Oh my god, that's a charming facial expression there, right there. Wow, that's my morning face right there. If anyone wonders what I look like in the morning, this is it. This video, first of all, is the most viewed video I've ever put out. It has been hitting a record. Like, actually, the videos that I've been putting out in the last month have all been breaking records. It's been like my channel has taken a huge turn from, a point earlier this year where I felt like I kind of stagnated and I was kind of stuck. I was hitting a point on YouTube where I was making videos but getting nowhere. Like, I had the same amount of, or a dropping amount of viewers. My subscriber rate was starting to dwindle. Everything was looking honestly downhill, and it had been for years. I had lost my spark for YouTube, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with YouTube or how I was going to approach it. So this month marks kind of the end of that spiral and the start of something new for me. Now, in this video, I mentioned that I don't hold on to or feel any attachment to the INFJ label anymore. And this is more than just saying that, I'm not going to use it anymore, or I want to try to have a fresh approach. Of course, first of all, that is a big reason for why I'm doing it. I'm getting rid of the label of INFJ because I am planning to do some deeper investigations into the other systems of typology out there besides my own. I'm going to look at their logic, and I'm going to look at their methods, and I'm going to try to... And this is my goal, because the way I see it, typology is like this, everyone is living on these separate islands. You have objective personality, you have cognitive personality theory, you have vanilla Jungian cognitive function theory, you have the 16 personalities, you have all these different systems out there, and they all live apart from one another. They kind of don't interfere with each other. They kind of keep their distance from each other. They kind of avoid each other's. And I want to break that. I want to put an end to that. I want to do what probably is not really socially accepted, and I'm going to go break some boundaries. I'm going to go say hi to objective personality. I'm going to go start looking at their videos, and I'm going to go critically reviewing their methods. I'm going to go looking at all their concepts and definitions and thinking, does that work? Is that really true? Does that really make sense? How can you apply this? Is this really the right way to do it? I'm going to be flipping, testing, challenging all the different systems and models. And I felt like if I was going to do that, I had to go in with a fair, open approach. I couldn't go in there and tell them that their system is not working because my logic is different than their logic. We can't win this war by simply referencing our own definitions and our own logic. We have to start being able to look at different systems and understand and apply different models. And we have to start taking a more open approach to understanding different systems. So I have to give them the fairness to say that maybe by your logic, I am an ENTP personality type. Maybe based on what socionics says, I am another personality type than I think I am. Maybe based on cognitive personality theory, I'm not an INFJ. I have to let go of the label of my own logic, of my own approach. Now, I hope that from now on, the way we will do personality psychology will be very different. We will do it just like what people do in psychology. We will be learning to borrow from different systems and theories and models depending on what works best. We will be judging every system based on its application. We will be judging it on its ethical merits. We will be looking at and saying, okay, if you use this theory, you can understand this person in that way. But if you use this theory, you can understand this person in that way. And which interpretation seems to really fit best? So we have to start learning to think about and hold multiple systems of maths in our head at the same time. We have to operate with the fact that there are math systems in typology where 1 + 1 is 3 and math systems where 1 + 1 is 2. And we have to understand why they came to that conclusion and why they did it and why they made those choices in order to say if that's the right choice or if that's the wrong choice. I came to this conclusion for two reasons. First of all, I had hit an end point in my life. I had hit a point of no return in my life. I had hit a point where I was, for the 5th year or something, trying to come up with my own system, my own logic. I was trying to tell you guys, okay, this is how I think it works. This is how I think types are. This is what I think is the right answer. I've been trying to tell you guys, oh, use my system, use my model, use my logic. And I was getting nowhere. You know, I was, it's very hard for me to explain how I see type and how I look at these things, because honestly, the way I look at this is very complicated. When I try to explain it to other people, honestly, it makes no sense. And if I try to explain to people in a social way, well, it loses its edge and it loses its value. So I realized at some point that, okay, I'm not able to do this. I am not able to develop my own system. I'm not able to come up with my own logic. I'm not able to sell or market my own model or neo-Jungian typology. I can't do this anymore. Trying to do this is holding me back. I should do what I do best, and that is, and honestly, I'm one of the people that have spent the most time, I'm one of the persons that have spent the most time studying and keeping an open mind to different systems. I'm one of the people that tries the hardest to understand and see where different systems come from. So I feel like I have the potential to do this in a fair way. I know it's difficult for different people to deal with and understand and handle that there are different systems and ways of applicating things. And I understand that that's very confusing, but I hope that I am one of those people that can help you navigate and sift through that confusion and make it easy for you to understand and see the different approaches. Lolita, I didn't know that other typology channels were struggling. I thought that we were seeing a new dawn of typology videos. I mean, there's several besides Frank James. There's Dear Kristen, there's Love Who, and many more channels that are really starting to break out of the mold. So I don't know if that's the case that typology is really dropping, but I know for myself that I am back. I have managed to reverse the trend, and I've been able to do something really new, and that's really nice and really refreshing. And I believe that there is a way forward for everyone. I don't care just about my own growth anymore on YouTube. I want to work with other channels. So I'm going to be inviting a lot more other creators on my YouTube channel in the future. We're going to be working together to figure out these questions of the human mind and of personality types. I'm going to work with Harry Merle from Cognitive Personality Theory. I'm going to work with Type Tips. I'm going to work with Objective Personality. I'm going to work with anyone who is open to do it. And we're going to do something new. We're gonna. I believe that we're standing at a turning point for this. Now, why did I do this mistype series? This mistype series actually marks the start of something, and I'll be the first to say that this mistype series was my first attempt at not just being a teacher of psychology, but also being a storyteller. So what I was doing was I was creating my own augmented reality game. I was creating my own real life versus fantasy story, interweaving both real things and of course scripted things to create a story. And I was doing it because I've been studying Piaget and different theories on education and how to teach, and I've learned that I've been going about things very wrong. I've been doing these videos where I tell people how things are and try to tell people what the logic is and how things work. I've been trying to give people the answers. And I'm realizing now that that's not how you should go about things. If you tell people a fact, you rob them of the chance to discover it for themselves. So instead, I realized my role has to be different on YouTube from now on. So the way I want to go about things in the future is more as a storyteller than as a teacher. I'm going to stop writing the answers on your nose and telling you directly this is how it is, and this is the answer, and this is how to look at things. And instead, I'm going to be creating some psychological and philosophical mysteries. I already have stories planned where I will discuss relationship dynamics using scripted examples and stories of people that I think you will find to be very real and very relatable. I will be using this to illustrate the mechanics of introverts and extroverts and relationship dynamics of different people. And I'll be using this to help you think about what you want and what you need from a relationship and what kind of a person you are and what your expectations are for love. So I'm going to be using stories to tell you guys about psychology in the future. And I think that will be a lot more helpful for you, because I think we have to focus on the journey before the destination. We have to respect everyone's process to learning about things and approaching things. And I would much rather help you get pushed in the right direction, giving you questions to think about things and reflect on life. In many ways, I know that I was going to say something. I was reading Lita's question about my story videos. He said, my story messages with tongue-in-cheek messages in them made me realize INFPs tend to believe this kind of thing because they assume the person they trust is telling the truth. I wanted to really think about this because this really made me think. You guys are making me think as well. Uh, so I think one reason why this story that I did was so confusing was because it both mixed reality with surreality. It was it's so hard to sift through that and look and say, okay, what is real and what's not real? And I did it because I was kind of inspired by some augmented reality games that I've followed in the past and some mysteries that I've been really interested in. I was wondering if I could do that myself, but it really ended up becoming a big social experiment because it was so interesting to see how different people responded to this, because you had a small group of people, 20-30% of people that were like, this is real, this actually happened, a hacker actually hacked Erik's channel. And then you had another group that went like, Erik made this all up, he's probably lost his mind, this is probably crazy. And then you had another group that was like, what is his play here? What is he trying to tell me? And what is he trying to do? And I totally understand all three of those reactions. But what I was aiming for was definitely the final reaction. What I was aiming for was to get people to pay attention and to look at not exactly what I'm saying, but why I'm saying it and how I'm saying it and for what reason. Because I did have a reveal planned, and that plan was to say that I'm not an INFJ anymore. And that was the reason why I did this, because I was like, okay, what can I do? Because I can say I don't identify as an INFJ anymore, and I can just make a video about it. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to lead anywhere or achieve anything. So I thought, if I create the story out of it, maybe it will change how people approach it, and it will get people to think about it more critically. Because it's so easy for us to all fall into like a standard script. We all we're really quick to make up our mind and to think and decide that world is in a certain way because it's convenient and easy. We're all looking for the easy answers and the simple truths. He's probably just a confused INFJ. It's so easy to just go back to that assumption, but I don't want that to be the case. I have hit a point of my life where, by the way, I really loved your responses, Laura. I thought your comments were really funny, especially that you posted it everywhere. So I have been at the point of my life, in my personal situation, where I came out of a relationship that lasted for 4 years about 5 months ago. I got my own place, and I had to learn to do a bunch of things in my life. And I ended up in a point where I had to learn to develop my extroverted thinking. Yeah, finally I had to develop my extroverted thinking. I had the ability to make anyone feel at ease around me. I have the ability to make people around me feel safe and understood and accepted. And I can make people around me feel good. And I know how to do those things. And I value doing those things. I want people around me to be happy. And I want people around me to feel good. And I've wanted my YouTube viewers to feel good. And, I've wanted to create that environment for everyone. So my YouTube channel has always been a place where you can come in to just learn about yourself. My YouTube channel has been a place where people can go in to feel accepted and seen. But as I developed extroverted thinking, I started realizing that I also had an edge. I also had sharpness to me. I also had the power to me. I was not just the kind and forgiving person that turned out a cheek. But I could also be the judging person that pushed people and pushed boundaries. And I could be that, and I could push people's boundaries, and I could gently slap another person in a kind way without being too much. And I started learning I could do these things and I was allowed to do these things. And that was huge for me because it was like, finally I can set boundaries. Finally I can tell a partner in a relationship that what I need. Finally I can say to somebody if they're mistreating me that I don't want to be treated this way. Finally I can start telling people this is what I want. And these are my goals. These are my aims. What are yours? With extroverted thinking, I also developed the ability to learn to really see that there can be different systems, different approaches. There can be different approaches that can all be useful. Extroverted thinking is very different from introverted thinking because introverted thinking tends to go in and assume that there is a right and wrong. There is this system, this logic, this model, and it's always right and it's always correct, and my logic and my answers are always correct and everyone else is wrong. But extroverted thinking goes, well, this system is good in that situation and this system is good in that situation. So extroverted thinking focuses on, okay, what can I apply to achieve the right result? Introverted thinking goes, what is objectively correct? Just 100%, what's the right answer, then. But I was developing extroverted thinking and I was learning that, my logic isn't the ultimate authority and answer to everything. My way of thinking isn't everything people need. Bethany, I am open to considering at this point that I could be another personality type, and if I would think I was another personality type, I would most likely say I am an ENTP, an objective personality system, and I've started looking at their logic and I understand from their point of view that makes sense. And I've looked at also cognitive personality theory and I can understand why in his system I could be an INFP, but I am inclined to say that it would be more likely that I'm an intuitive dominant because I've always felt very strongly that I'm an intuitive dominant. I had the problem when I asked my parents about my childhood that my parents all thought that I was an outgoing kid. They all thought I was an extrovert. They said, "Oh, Erik, you were always super curious. You were super enthusiastic about the smallest of things. You would go up and talk to anyone. You were everyone's friend. You knew everybody in school. You knew everybody in our hometown. You had like no social boundaries. You would go up and talk to anyone. You were not afraid of social judgment. You were always pushing boundaries. You were always the one that wanted things to go super fast. You were the quick learner in school that kept wanting to rush to the next subject. You were the person that was sloppy with details and would always run through an assignment as quickly as possible because you were so excited for the next one." My parents, they always thought I was an extroverted intuitive. They always thought Erik is an ENTP or something like that. And I always thought it was the other way around, and I thought I was an introvert, and I thought I was a quiet guy, and I was a person that had very low energy. And what I was realizing at some point was that perhaps it was not that I was an introvert. Perhaps I was just a burnt out extrovert. I started thinking that maybe that's the case because I was deep in politics. I was very social. I was very outgoing. But I hit a point where I had felt so used up and exhausted and tired, and I was struggling so hard in politics. It was so difficult to manage the social dynamics because I would feel so often misunderstood, or I would cause problems or conflicts and I would have no idea why I did. And I constantly misstepped social boundaries in politics, and I was too honest, and I said things that politicians shouldn't. And it was very exhausting. At some point, I hit the burnout, and I just had no energy anymore. And I think extroverts can get burnouts, and I think extroverts can get depressed. And I know that it can happen that extroverts also lose their energy. And what I'm learning about energy that is so fascinating to me is that there are two forms of energy. There is the kind of energy that is enthusiasm and joy and fun and spirit, the thing we mostly think about when we think about extroverted energy. And there's a thing I would call introverted energy. And introverted energy is like a reserve of energy. Introverts, they reserve energy, they preserve energy, they preserve power, they save up and store up energy by taking their time to relax, process, build up, and go over the numbers over and over in their head, simmering over things until they have yes, I have the answer, now I know it. So those are the two kinds of energy we have to operate with. The kind of explosive, yes, let's go energy, and the kind of introverted, this is it. Oh, now I get it kind of energy. So there's a difference between being rested and being excited. Now what I'm learning is that extroverts are kind of boundary breakers. That means they are people that test boundaries, they play with boundaries. When they say, oh, you can't do that, or that's going to take too long, or you're not going to be able to get there, extroverts are like, oh, I'm going to try, let's do it, let's see where we get. Introverts, on the other hand, they're cautious, careful. They go, I don't know yet. Maybe I should wait and see. I don't want to risk anything. I want to wait a little bit, build up some energy, preserve myself before I do it. So yeah, I think a lot of extroverts really struggle with this, idea that introverts have a monopoly on being alone or needing alone time. I think what we've been saying in typology all along, that extroverts get energy from social interactions and introverts get energy from being alone. I think that's false. I think that's a false dichotomy. I think all personality types need alone time to recharge energy, and all personality types need to express energy and go out and make something of themselves. So the pattern must be something else. Catherine says, as an ENFP, I'm now drained by social interactions, especially when I can sense inauthenticity. Another question is, do you enjoy all kinds of social interaction? Do you also enjoy talking with idiots? I don't know. Extroverts are sometimes just pull the trigger. Yeah, actually, I think extroverts, they'll do the annoying thing more effortlessly and more easily than others will. They'll be like, okay, let's just get it done. And so for me, I think the biggest question to solve will be, am I an introverted intuitive dominant or an extroverted intuitive dominant? Because I know I can do both. I think any ENFP or ENTP that I've ever talked to knows that I am playful enough to keep on their toes. I can play with any of their association games. I can reply quickly and wittily to any remark. I can question any perspective or thought process. I can give back. I can devil's advocate. I can give different perspectives. I can push just like they can. So I want to make sure this is not a chicken before the egg thing, because that's kind of what it's become at some point. Okay, what is the chicken and the egg for me as personally? Am I a person that goes into my head and reflects and then goes out and in a burst of explosive creativity pushes out ideas and then goes back and then recharges and gets ideas and then pushes them out? Is that what's happening? Is that the pattern I'm seeing? That's the pattern I've been thinking that I've been seeing. Or is the pattern that Oh, actually, I'm an extrovert intuitive, and I'm just playing with ideas, and I'm sometimes getting tired and exhausted and burnt out, and sometimes I go back into myself because I make take risks, and it doesn't pay off, and it goes the wrong way. So um, that's the one of the dilemmas that we're gonna have to solve together, and I am going to be. Fabio Martins asks, well, Erik, does that width come at energy expense or not? I would say, Fabio, I do get tired at some point, but I can keep it going for a very long time. And I find it immensely funny and enriching. I can say proudly that I'm an addict of extroverted intuition. I can't get enough of extroverted intuition. Novelty, new ideas, new information, new videos to watch, new things, subjects to study. I want to learn everything about everything. I am immensely curious, and I need a lot of extroverted intuition. I am like harassing all my ENFP and ENTP friends to give me as much of it as possible. I'm honestly an idea addict. So I do crash, though. Definitely, I do crash. I get exhausted and I become quiet. Definitely. Carlos says, you are an Enneagram. Do you think an Enneagram would just conform to the way everyone does things? All intuitive dominant types are innovators. I'm not sure what you mean there. But yeah, you're on, Kirsten. I definitely relate a lot to the idea of being a consume type. I can't really argue that I have and value that extremely much. Now, I'm going to tell you guys about some plans that I'm having. What's next? First of all, you already know this, but I'm going to do a series where I review the concepts and ideas of the objective personality. So we're going to be looking at everything they're saying about consume, blast, sleep, play, introverts, extroverts, judgers, perceivers, intuitive, sensors, feelers, thinkers. We're going to look at what they're saying about saviors and demons and how that stands against what I've thought about flow. We're going to discuss their ideas on objective typing. Can you be objectively typed, or should you seek for instead what I've always been a fan of, informed self-typing? I go into objective personality with a lot of curiosity and interest, but also with a lot of things that I'm definitely critical about. So I'm critical about objective personality's idea that you can't type yourself and that you should go to an expert that will tell you who you really are. I would say an expert can be very helpful, and I think everyone should definitely, if they're unsure, consult an expert for help and for feedback on themselves, and I think that's a great thing to do. But I think ultimately you are the person that is being typed, and you are the person that has the value of what happens in that interaction. You are the person that has to understand and come to terms with your personality type. You are the one that's going to have to make decisions about how you feel about yourself and who you are. So you should be the one to ultimately decide what personality type you are. You need to be that person because everyone else can tell you who you are, but if you don't understand who you are, it's not going to help you. So I would say informed self-typing is the best way to go. Seek objective feedback from other people, but make sure that you can critically evaluate what they are saying and if it's right or wrong. So don't just trust the experts, challenge them. But if you type me as this, how could this be? But that doesn't really make sense with how I feel about that. Challenge them to explain their logic and thought process and what they see in you, and make sure that it makes sense to you and that you can understand it and that it fits. So don't be afraid to be critical, but definitely do seek information and seek knowledge and seek to understand different approaches. Besides that, I am going to be inviting other creators to come in and to explain their systems and how they would type me and how they see personality types and how they look at things. So there's going to be a lot of discussions to come, because I am really starting to favor that collaborative approach. I'm enjoying so much more now to make videos together with other people. I've had so much fun making videos with Mindy. I've had so much fun making videos with Renaud. I want really much to talk with everyone at this point and to have more discussion-based formats. Third is a bit of a surprise, but the third is going to be a story about introverts and extroverts in love and the question of if opposites attract. So that's my third series that I've got in my head at this point. So yeah, that's what's coming up next. Did I say everything I wanted to say? Oh yes. Some people were saying that maybe I stopped being an INFJ because the critics were getting to me. That, because there are lots of channels out there that have made videos about me and that have questioned my type in the past. And I want to assure you guys that that's not the case. I am not giving in to any critics or people. I'm not giving into anyone that's telling me what my type is. I'm not very sensitive to criticism or to people that slam labels on me. I don't really care. Honestly, you can tell me, you can think whatever you want, but ultimately I will still always have my own opinions, and I only listen to logic. So social appeals don't work to me. If people say, oh Erik, everyone thinks you are like this, that's not going to work on me. What I need is logic, a clear explanation. How did you come to that conclusion? What do you see in me, and what caused you to have that explanation? That's the only thing I listen to. So yeah. Melodious Cloud says, I don't think MBTI can ever express fully the beauty in people. It's a great system to understand people and yourself on the surface, but not great enough to understand the deeper true self, in my opinion. No, it's never going to be enough. You're never going to be able to explain everything about yourself through type. And that's also what I was seeing. In many ways, I was seeing that by holding on too tightly and being too defensive of the INFJ label, I was ignoring the fact that I used extroverted intuition all the time, and I was not able to explain why that was the case. So there were lots of things about myself, lots of contradictions that I didn't want to think about or didn't want to consider because it was irrelevant to my system and personality type. So I really did hope that by letting go of that label that I would be able to understand those things about myself and also become more full. Because the way I see it, I'm kind of on a process to mastering all 8 cognitive functions. I'm learning to use extroverted thinking, and I think actually my next battle will be to master introverted sensing. And after that, we'll see where I go. I want to be able to do anything. I don't want to have any limitations. I want to be able to use all functions and to see things from all perspectives. I don't want to have any blind spots. I don't want to hide anything about myself. Erik, just accept your type, ISTJ. Okay. Fabio, indeed a public persona is not a public persona. I used to always struggle with my public persona on YouTube. I thought, oh, I'm not myself on YouTube. But I was looking back at my clips on YouTube lately and I was like, actually, that's kind of how I am in reality as well. I think I am quite honest in my videos. I don't really feel like I'm hiding a lot about myself on that regard. I should probably switch over to full screen view. Becca asks, could trauma change your personality? Absolutely. Trauma can completely flip things over for you. Imagine you've been a kind person that has been super generous and giving to people, and you hit a point where you've been greatly used by people. You can easily flip to the other point and go, I'm never gonna let myself be taken advantage of again. And you can easily flip into like a complete opposite of what you used to. Any personality type or any person can experience changes in their life. It can be the cause of depression, anger, anxiety, or fear. Um, yeah. Uh, and I've definitely been going through some things this year. I mean, we all have with COVID. So maybe it's just that I'm off center or just not in myself anymore. Maybe I am in myself because I feel like I am in myself. I feel like for the first time in my life, I know what I want to do on YouTube for the next 3 months onwards. It used to be a question of what video am I going to do tomorrow. And now it's like, okay, I have this plan for a series, but I have so many other plans for series that I'm going to have to do it in February. And now I'm gonna have to prioritize. I have plans and I have a vision and I have a strategy outline where I'm like, okay, first I have to do this. Before I can get to that point, I have to explain that. Uh, so it's like I have a vision for what I'm doing. Yeah. JVSS. I just made a channel to write you this. You say I want to understand all my functions. Isn't INFJ not the type that uses subconsciously NI to wish for understanding of themselves? I'm trying to understand what you mean here. Yeah, I'm gonna need another explanation. I don't know exactly what you mean here. Sorry. Um, Anyways, can you settle this with finding your blind spot? Is it extroverted thinking or introverted feeling? Okay, so you're asking me if my blind spot is extroverted thinking or introverted feeling, and I would say definitely extroverted thinking is a bigger blind spot for me than introverted feeling. I, if I would explain my own cognitive development process, I was developing extroverted intuition in my 20s, and I was developing introverted feeling very much when I had my burnout and I started checking in with my needs and started to explore typology. Introverted feeling taught me a lot about myself. It taught me I had my own needs and boundaries, that I had my own personality and values that I couldn't interfere with. Introverted feeling taught me about myself. Then now I'm starting to get the extroverted thinking. I'm starting to recognize that beyond having needs and boundaries and feelings and values that are important to guard and protect, I have to stand up for myself. Nobody's going to stand up for me. I can't have other people be my attack dog, even though I appreciate that. I have to stand up for myself and fight my own battles. And I have to go into a conflict or discussion without fear or nerves getting the better of me. How about talking with famous people? I block question mark again. It's also completely irrelevant. Um, just go resolve that in private. Uh, Hi, Keita. Thanks for your kind message. I accidentally made talking with famous people a mod. It was a misclick, but hey, You can keep it. Lore says he utilizes introverted functions just as anyone, but that doesn't make him an introvert. He has extroverted energy. Just look at his share and rate of speech. So you're talking about the fact that I'm talking very quickly, and that I'm moving my share around when I talk. Yeah, I do that. I have very much momentum and energy, and I'm quite animated when I talk to other people. But in person, in a one-on-one discussion, when somebody is opening up to me and going like, "Hey Erik, I'm feeling this," then I lock on and I'm like, "Oh, tell me more about that." And I'm completely still, and I lock my hands together and I do this pose. It's like I find it kind of silly because I do it all the time. It's like my counselor pose. I have it like reversed down to a T. It's like, "Oh, really? I see." Uh, and yeah, it's just a script I have. I think when we get older, we develop more and more scripts, and that's confusing because you go through life as a kid and everything is super easy and you're super naive and innocent, and you go in and be you're like your dominant function butterfly. So you're constantly just doing your dominant function and everything is great and everything is wonderful and easy, and your parents will save you from any problem. If there's not something you can't do, you just call for mom and dad and they will fix it for you. And then you go to school and you have to do things yourself, and your mom and dad isn't there and they're at work, and you have to learn things on your own, and you're like, I have to do stuff. I have to figure out how to do things. And that's stressful. The inferior function is very stressful. And that's a new script. And then you also find yourself trying to please your parents because you're like, you want to show them that you're making progress. You want to impress them. So you go into your second function. You go starting to impress them and please them and support them, showing them, oh, I can do this function. I'm so good. Look at me, mom and dad. Look at how great I am. You know, that's all scripts. Like, the more older you get, the better you become at developing and nuancing these scripts. And it's like you have the one-dimensional version of your dominant function when you're younger, and then it becomes two-dimensional at some point, and it becomes three-dimensional, and then it becomes four-dimensional. At some point, as you learn new languages and new ways to express your cognitive function and new ways to think about things, you're becoming a more and more complicated person. And that's bizarre. It's downright crazy because you can feel like you're a completely different person than what you used to be. I know I used to be a moody, angsty, hormonal teenager, and I know I used to wrestle these immense mood swings. I'd go out, all out in politics. I'd be socializing an entire weekend. I'd be talking to everyone. I would be so full of ideas. I would be constantly doing things. And then I'd come home and I'd feel burning self-hatred and anxiety. I would hate myself. I would feel so low. I would just crash in my bed. I wouldn't be able to move or get out. I was so tired and so exhausted. And I was like, oh my God, I finally am out of that role. And as I got older, I'm like, wait a second, why am I doing this? That's what happened when I had my burnout. That's when I was like, okay, I'm going to need a new script for this. I'm going to need to go out and socialize with people, but I'm going to need to start minding my boundaries. I'm going to need to take time out. So I'm not going to need me time. I'm going to need to check myself. If I'm starting to get anxious or tired, or if I'm starting to notice physically that I'm not feeling well, I'm going to have to check in with myself. I'm going to have to slow down my speech, talk more calmly, and I'm going to have to prioritize projects and take things more step by step. That's a new script, and you're constantly adding these scripts onto yourself as you get older. You know, you have to become an adult at some point, so you have to be able to learn to do things you wouldn't want to do. And you know, it's not that these scripts are ever gonna be easy. You know, running those scripts can be really difficult. Like, one of the most difficult things, I think, from INFJ or INTJ perspective is to put yourself out in the world despite the fact that the world is going to overwhelm you. Do you have what it takes to put yourself out there? Or are you going to be afraid of going out? Are you going to hide in your shell forever, constantly thinking about things? Developing the script and learning to run that script and learn to do that script, even though it's difficult, that's a muscle you have to work out. And that's a really difficult one. Anton Dianova. Knowledge changes everything. Believe me, Erik is an NE user. Erik, did you type yourself INFJ turbulent or INFJ assertive? I type as assertive, so not turbulent. Yes, I'm seeing that there is some lag. Sorry about that. Perfect imperfection. Thanks for applying to be a mod, and I'd be happy to have on more mods in the future. And no worries. I would say just hang out a little bit longer in the Discord community and make yourself known. And I would definitely like to consider you for a mod in the future. Laura F, what's funny with the interview I had with Ren, that was that I was so nervous. I was like constantly stuttering, going like, and I was like looking back and I was like, Jesus Christ, Erik, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I never really say, I never really do that in my own videos, but for some reason I did that in his interview. I'm not sure why. But actually, I've always had this issue with this kind of a nervous energy. I'm always so nervous to do videos and to put myself out there and do these things. And I'm always so scared to do it. I'm literally like, I'm the kind of person that, say I would confess that I like a girl. I would do it in the dorkiest, silliest way possible, and I would struggle not to like trip and fall over myself. Like I was like, what you call it, like the completely like I would be so shy. It would be hard to understand, I've always had this nervous energy, and that probably comes out in most of my videos. But I'm really good at managing that nervous energy and still going through.